Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today we are building something a bit old school. I've been getting several suggestions to build from older games, and somebody suggested that I build something from Castlevania, and I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. So I started looking at reference images to kind of get some ideas, and I remember playing it on the NES back in like the late 80s, early 90s. The whip is pretty much a big aspect of the game. It's one of the main weapons, and you can upgrade it to a chained version that extends out further. So I thought, why not make that? And when you get to the chain version, it's more of like a morning star than it is a whip. Typically it has like a little ball with spikes on it. And as I was looking at reference images, I found some from the TV series that I really liked. So I'm going to kind of combine some different attributes from several different versions and games of Castlevania to make my own version of the Morning Star that Belmont uses. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Today we are building a Morning Star from Castlevania. Let's get to building. I freehanded this template from various reference images on a Google search and traced it onto some 6mm What the Foam from Cosplay Apprentice. It's a super dense foam that will hold up well for this weapon without the need for inner supports, or at least I'm guessing from previous experience. I ended up making 8 of these pieces, and you see me start by connecting 2 of them for the base to glue the others off of. To simulate my sharp edges, I drew a midline on the foam and used my Dremel to rough in an edge. First pass was with a sanding drum, then with a stone bit to smooth it all out. I just eyeballed how far in on the top sides to bevel it and tried to make them all relatively even. I did this to the outside edges of all my blade pieces. I drew a center line for a reference, then started gluing them up with contact cement. Traced 2 main body blades facing left and 2 facing right. Then cutting the inside edges, I put a 45-degree angle inward cut on them. After I glue them on both sides, I decided to add 2 more blades to make a radial symmetry. That means that the last 2 glued in will need a center beveled like I did on the outside edges to glue in. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll try and draw a diagram on the template or something to explain it better. To cap the top and bottom of the main body, I glued on some circles, also in 6mm EVA. The one on the top has to help stabilize the top that connects to the chain. The bottom is what gets glued to the PVC handle. To make the top blade more secure, I made it 4-sided. Most images I saw were just a flat piece, and I knew that wouldn't hold up at all with the chain weight. And instead of using some other material, I figured this would be the easiest way. The flail blades are assembled the same way as the main body, 2 left, 2 right, and 2 with beveled centers. Then you have one that is a combined long piece. I added these little cross members in 4mm What the Foam, which kind of further supports the chain holding tip. The insides that butt into each other have a 45-degree outward angle cut. Instead of figuring out the angles to make this a more solid piece like a lot of the references I found, I decided to simplify it and just build the pommel like the rest of the pieces with 8 protruding blades. Then a circle on the top to stabilize it and give it more surface area to glue to the PVC. So I took this 1-inch PVC pipe cut to 9.5 inches long and started by capping the end with some 10mm EVA. I super glue the caps in, then attach my blades. Where foam touches foam, I use contact cement. Where foam touches PVC, I sand it back a little and use super glue. I had a small chain left over from a previous build. It was about 30 inches long. I cut one end in half with some wire snips, pushed the prongs onto my part, drill out the holes for them, then with the chain looped on, I super glue them into place permanently. I hit the foam with 2 coats of Plasti Dip, and for some reason I painted the PVC with spray paint. You don't really need to do that. I think originally I had just planned on painting the handle. Then I hit the whole thing with a mist of silver spray paint. To bring out my edges on my blade, I took a chrome paint pen and ran it over all the outside edges. For me, it's easier to control this pen than it is to try and hold a paintbrush steady on a straight edge. I sanded a little of my spray painted handle back and started to glue up some faux leather to the handle. I coached tennis for a while and wrapped mini rackets for my athletes. This skill surprisingly comes in handy a lot as a prop maker. Once I got this black glued down, I took a studded belt I bought at a thrift store for $1 and wrapped it over the top of it for an extra little detail. And we are finished. Here is the end result. Now, obviously I made a few modifications to mine to spice it up just a little bit and give it some of my own flair, like adding maybe a couple of extra blades in there and changing this pommel up just a little bit, and I don't know, I just kind of pieced it together and made modifications where I wanted to, just to kind of give it my own little spin, but while staying true relatively to the design of the weapon. Overall, not too bad. I don't think this would be possible without a very high density foam like What the Foam. You could also do it out of cardboard or styrene or even foam board, but the What the Foam works really well. It's only 6 millimeters thick in pretty much the entire thing, and it's sturdy. So, yeah. Maybe you will try and make this weapon yourself and impress your vampire hunting friends with your ability to fight off evil? I mean, maybe you'll get some...
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. I'm not very good and accurate with it just yet. I'm fairly new at hunting vampires, so let me practice it on you. Whoa!